Tonight, mixed reactions as Viterra calls for grain to be transported by train once again. And MP Jeff Brock brings ministers to Port Augusta to see the antisocial problem for themselves.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Agricultural company Viterra is looking to bring back rail in hopes to use it to transport grain as it once did. However, not everyone is convinced, with the cost to get trains back on the tracks a major concern for locals.
The debate to reimburse rail is full steam ahead. These trains last rode the tracks of the Eyre Peninsula in May 2019. Now Viterra are hoping to see the return of its grain services.
The commercial benefits, particularly for growers, I very much see a lot of value created out of that by freight rates reducing and the cost of the exports reducing as a consequence, but also the 13 to 14 customers of the Viterra network.
A topic of conversation that has divided opinions across the region over recent years. The member for Flinders says there were many viable reasons for closing the rail.
Certainly a very interesting decision from Viterra to bring this subject back up again. There was a comprehensive transport study that was done before Genesing and Wyoming and Viterra made the decision to stop using the rail network on the Eyre Peninsula.
Rail historian Peter Knife says transporting grain by rail is more efficient than road trains when travelling from point to point. Certain sections of the gauge system are still up to scratch.
Here to Cummins is still in really good condition. It's not up to heavy mainline standards nowadays, but it is certainly fit for purpose.
A project which would require state and federal funding to support.
We think now is a real opportune time with a new state government and obviously new federal government that we've seen a lot of investment right around the country, in particular for rail.
But there are still some underlying issues with the existing track that would need to be addressed.
Beyond Cummins, the track is not in as good condition and would need to be rehabilitated or relaid.
With the infrastructure that was in place, it was really starting to get to a stage where it was inefficient.
Viterra has also put forward the idea of linking the system to the national rail infrastructure, but Sam Telfer says rail will come at a cost.
The potential of hundreds of millions of dollars that would be necessary to bring this up to scratch again, and in the end it's only going to be either taxpayers or farmers or a combination of the two that would have to pay for it.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
After one of the worst summers on record for violence and public intoxication in Port Augusta, local MPs say something needs to change. Today, Eddie Hughes and Jeff Brock have welcomed relevant government ministers to the city to show them the problem firsthand.
Boots on the ground to tackle a problem head on. Various ministers travelled down from Adelaide last night to participate in ongoing discussions about increased antisocial behaviour on the Upper Spencer Gulf.
A different approach. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff as a local member. The level of antisocial behaviour in Port Augusta over the summer is not acceptable to the community and it needs to be addressed.
Independent Jeff Brock doubling down on his election promises to bring the Attorney General, Police Minister and Human Services Minister to walk the city streets and see the problem firsthand.
A committee that was going before were doing most of their meetings from Adelaide and by Zoom. I don't think you get the actual feel unless you're in the location itself.
Yesterday, the group met with various organisations, community groups and local elders to hear their views, while talks with local police and NGOs have continued on today.
We've brought together health, SAPOL, housing and a whole range of other people who are just absolutely interested in providing the best possible environment.
What is their take on everything like that? How can we better utilise their expertise, their knowledge and also their funds?
The Minister for Human Services says they must find a way to navigate the situation that supports both transient and local communities.
People in Port Augusta want to know that they're safe and that they're able to welcome people. So I think there is this currently a bit of a disconnect that we want to make sure we work together with both groups.
We've made a commitment to 1.2 million for the Safe City program. Might not be called that. Let's see how that can be shaped to be effective, but that's only one layer. A lot more needs to be done, and the fact that we had ministers up here were taking it seriously.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Officers attached to the Missing Persons Registry were in Broken Hill today to collect familial DNA samples in the hopes of solving cold cases. The program launched in 2020 but was shut down due to COVID and has come to the Far West for the first time.
Helping families get the answers they deserve after going through the trauma of a loved one going missing. While it doesn't end the pain, hopefully they can get closure.
And it's great to be out and assisting our local police in Western Region to collect some DNA examples to help solve some our long-term missing person cases.
When the program launched, the MPR were able to get samples from the north and south coast. Then COVID came along and shut the program down before they could get to Western New South Wales.
No, we haven't travelled to Broken Hill before. We've done our North Coast and South Coast pre-COVID, and this is our first time in Broken Hill.
Statewide, there's 750 long-term missing persons, while there's 350 unidentified bodies and human remains.
Currently in New South Wales, our long-term go back to 1930. Which is obviously pre-DNA and pre the forensic technologies that we have available today.
In Broken Hill, there are 4 long-term missing persons investigations.
This also gives an opportunity to help review those cases, see forensically what improvements have been made that might be able to solve those or actually help take the investigation further.
Those who missed out today can also head to the local police station and give a sample there. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Teachers in New South Wales are going on strike tomorrow. Parents will have to make alternative plans for their children, with both public and private schools taking part. It's the third time in 6 months teachers have taken industrial action, but the first time their private school counterparts will be joining them. If you're stuck on ideas, the Broken Hill City Library is having an interactive performance with audiobook narrator Andy Griffith, who'll be performing at 9:30, 11:30 and 1:30, while Broken Hill PCYC will also be having games and sports for kids between 9 and 3. But they do ask you are enrolled with PCYC and could you get there at 8:30 a.m. Still to come tonight, the EP's salt marshes at risk after locals start treating them as dumping grounds. And changing the game one bottle at a time, the Clare Valley Winery helping to reduce its carbon footprint. Welcome back. The Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board has begun work on cleaning up one of the region's most valuable ecosystems. Large amounts of rubbish and debris have been found within salt marsh areas. Now landscape officers have been hard at work cleaning up and revegetating the land.
A vital clean-up hoping to restore ecosystems. This month, landscape officers conducted a clean-up of Cow's Landing Sanctuary near Whyalla, removing large amounts of rubbish and debris.
The marine debris and rubbish down there comes from 2 sources. Some of it's brought in on the tides and then some of it's actually people littering down there and some of it's deliberate dumping of rubbish as well.
The board had some help in the clean-up from the 4-Wheel Drive Club, where they found a mixed bag of items in the salt marsh.
All sorts of things down there, from pallets to tyres to electrical goods, clothing, you name it, you find all sorts of bits and pieces down there.
Coastal salt marshes are listed as nationally threatened ecological communities and are in need of saving. The work undertaken is supported by a recovery project funded by the Australian Government. Revegetation also a priority.
Our landscape officers in the Western District have been undertaking revegetation work on salt marsh sites, and that's involved ripping of vehicle tracks and planting of tube stock and even direct seeding.
The board encouraging travellers to be respectful when passing through these areas.
To help protect our salt marshes is to stick to the defined vehicle tracks when they're in these areas. Don't drive over salt marshes. 1, you're very likely to get bogged, and 2, it just damages these environments.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A winery in the Clare Valley is reducing its carbon footprint one bottle at a time and inspiring the rest of the industry to follow suit. Taylor's Wines is collaborating with sustainable packaging pioneers Pacamama to target the environmental hotspot of the glass bottle.
Innovation is at the heart of Taylor's Wines. Australia led the global change from cork to screw top, with Taylor's being the first major producer to bottle all their wines under the closure. And now they're doing the same with their bottles.
We're a proud member of Australia's First Families of Wine. The initiative that we did with the screw cap, innovation is a core value of our business. We celebrate it all the time. We love great ideas and no ideas are bad, but we just got to, clarify and work out which are the best ideas to move forward.
The new range of Eco Bottles One Small Step range are made entirely from Australian-sourced 100% recycled PET plastic and are also much lighter and easier to pack, tackling the environmental issue of transport as well. Not to mention the practical benefits.
The other great thing about this package is, while this is, great from a sustainable point of view, it's the convenience factor. Like that can fit very comfortably under the car seat.
Mitchell says they have received positive feedback from customers, saying they can bring the bottle anywhere and not worry about it breaking. The bottles are now available exclusively through select Liquorland and First Choice Liquor Market stores. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Organisers of Whyala's Nadoc Week celebrations call on the public for more volunteers. And it's Taekwondo with a difference. We check out the martial arts club in Port Pirie, bringing the Korean sport back to basics. Welcome back. With Nadoc Week fast approaching, local organisations are getting ready to host the community for fun and moments of reflection. The week of events is set to celebrate the history, culture and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in our community.
Paying respects to one of the oldest living cultures, Whyala community groups are banding together with the local council to put on a stacked lineup of events to celebrate this year's Nadoc Week.
Nadoc Week is a fantastic week where Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people can come out, share our culture, but also educate as well. So it's fantastic that the wider community come and celebrate with us.
Organisers say they have a fun-filled schedule of activities planned for locals to get involved with. Kicking off with a march through the city, where the community flies First Nation flags and colours.
So we're marching from Plaza Youth to Norton Park for a barbecue. We have a community day. We have a golf day, which is very much a fun day. We have a kids disco. We have kids movies.
The week's free and diverse itinerary, looking to capture the attention of the whole community.
We just want to share our culture and raise a bit of awareness and really bring everybody together. It's not Reconciliation Week, but Nadoc is very much reconciliation for us as well.
Organisers say there will also be an invite-only elders luncheon, where they can recognise the fantastic work community leaders have done throughout the year.
Keep an eye out for all of the posters, check our Facebook page, and anything up and coming will be added as we go.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Pirie's Full Impact Taekwondo is kicking new goals since being recognised under an international banner. Earlier this year, the club declared its affiliation with the International Taekwondo Federation headquarters in Korea and continued to teach and practice the original format of the martial art.
Self-worth and self-esteem are at the core of Port Pirie's Taekwondo Club. Since taking over 4 years ago, Chief Instructor Louis increased memberships by 100% and changed the style of Taekwondo taught.
Now we're learning new techniques, so realistically I'm a beginner too and learning also at the same time, even though I've been doing it nearly 40 years.
A lot of time and effort goes into the club and trainings, and India was impressed by the size and professionalism of the club when she moved from Adelaide.
Yeah, I didn't realise that there was a club here when I moved, and then finding this group was great. I mean, I've met some really good people here.
There are many physical and mental benefits of the martial art, which the members say help them in everyday life.
More about what I'm capable of and working hard to be more capable of other things. It sort of applies everywhere, just being able to remember the patterns and remember all of the different techniques that we do.
The club doesn't discriminate or single anyone out because of their inability to do something. and adapt to ensure everyone gets the most out of each session. Come and try sessions are available on Tuesdays and Thursdays in Port Pirie and Wednesdays in Crystal Brook. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We have this week's Fuel Watch and we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Jesters have taken out the Broken Hill Netball Association A-Grade Grand Final. In cold conditions at EP O'Neill Park, West Flames got off to a good start, dominating the first quarter before Jesters got themselves back in the game during the second. The teams went goal for goal, with the Jesters making the most of their opportunities and winning the game 22-21. West's Shante King was the season MVP with 7 votes. St Joe's Olivia Eastburn voted runner-up. It's not getting any easier at the fuel pumps across the region, with prices still going up and up. While the cities are seeing a brief reprieve, it's people in regional areas that are suffering when filling up the tank. Here's Joshua Mercer with this week's Fuel Watch.
Unleaded prices here in Broken Hill and across the border in the Spencer Gulf are only going one way at the moment, and that's up. Port Augusta is currently the highest in the region, sitting at $2.13, a 2.5 cent jump from last week. Good news for those living in Kadina, you're currently paying the lowest at $2.07. Port Lincoln saw an almost 5 cent price increase, going from $2.07 to $2.12. Broken Hill saw the biggest jump, with petrol going up almost 7 cents. Those travelling to Adelaide will be happy to know petrol there has gone back to under $2 a litre, much better than where it was a week ago. If you own a diesel vehicle, you may want to look away now, as the situation isn't much better than unleaded, with all arrows pointing up and some places seeing big jumps in price. Broken Hill has the honour of having the cheapest diesel at $2.29, but there was still an 8 cent price jump. Port Lincoln has the dearest price in the region at $2.38, a 9 cent jump. Port Pirie, Kadina, Port Augusta and Whyalla are all sitting in the $2.33 to $2.35 price range. Adelaide saw the smallest price increase of just under 2 cents, sitting at $2.34 a litre. Finally, looking at autogas prices, and it's all good news for drivers as prices are mostly staying the same across the board. Port Lincoln has the highest price at just under $1.33. Kadina is the next highest, even though it had a drop in price from last week at $1.20. Port Augusta and Port Pirie both sit on $1.20, with 0.4 of a cent separating the two cities. Broken Hill has the distinction of the lowest autogas price in the region at $1.10. But the lowest price overall goes to the city of Churches, where commuters are paying under $1. Now remember, these prices are just regional averages and do not represent any one particular outlet. If you see unleaded, diesel or autogas cheaper, please let us know through our Facebook page.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, good evening. Rain's been forecast, but not much has fallen.
That's right, rainfall is certainly lacking at the moment. Maddie, showers have been forecast for Port Lincoln most days this week, but barely made a dent in the gauges. Just 0.2 millimetres fell this morning and again just before 2 this afternoon. But is there more to come? I'll let you know in just a moment. Port Pirie reached 15 degrees today. 17 was the top temperature in Woodner. Clare, our coldest centre, just 12 degrees today. Looking more broadly at today's temperatures now, Cooper Pedy, Whyalla and Port Lincoln all reached 16 degrees, 13 and cloudy in Broken Hill. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a low pressure trough and associated low will continue to move over the southeast of the state this evening and overnight before moving northwards and weakening during Thursday. A large high pressure system will develop south of WA tomorrow, then move slowly eastwards. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southwest to southeasterly winds between 15 and 20 knots, seas between 1 to 2 metres, and south to southwesterly swell between 1 and 2 metres. Taking a look at tomorrow's temperatures now, showers are expected in Port Lincoln between 9 and 17 degrees. Showers in Cleve as well, possible morning showers in Woodner 17. A shower or two in Whyalla between 6 and 16 degrees. Port Augusta partly cloudy 17, showers easing in Kadina, 16 degrees there also. Showers easing in Port Pirie as well, 17 degrees, 12 degrees the top in Clare, and Broken Hill will be partly cloudy and 14. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Friday's forecast. Port Lincoln will be the only outlier with some rain forecast, 16 degrees, 15 the top in Whyalla, Kadina and Adelaide, all with partly cloudy conditions, 17 degrees in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta and Woodner. Moving on to Saturday's forecast, Cooper Pedy will have some sunshine, 15 degrees. Kadina joins Port Lincoln with some rain forecast. Temperatures in the early to mid-teens across the board. And finally, taking a look at Sunday's weather map, going clockwise from Cooper Pedy, where it'll be partly cloudy and 14 degrees. Broken Hill will have a top of 12 and 15 in Port Pirie, 13 in Kadina and Adelaide, possible showers in Port Lincoln 15 degrees, 14 in Woodner and Whyalla, Port Augusta partly cloudy and 15 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. Maddie, I'll be back soon with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Wednesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.